May 24th, 1940. The beaches of Dunkirk, France. 400,000 British and French soldiers, surrounded, trapped between the German army and the English Channel. Hitler had them. Victory was certain. But then, Hitler made one decision. A single order that would last just 24 hours. That decision changed the course of World War II. This is the story of the biggest mistake Hitler ever made. To understand this mistake, we need to go back 6 weeks. May 10th, 1940. Germany launched Fall Gelb, Case Yellow, the invasion of France and the Low Countries. It was textbook blitzkrieg, lightning war. Panzer divisions punched through the Ardennes forest, a place the French thought was impassable for tanks. They were wrong. Within days, German forces had crossed the Meuse River and were racing toward the English Channel. The French and British armies were cut in half. The Allied forces in Belgium had no choice but to retreat toward the coast, toward a small French port town called Dunkirk. By May 24th, the situation was catastrophic. Over 400,000 Allied troops were compressed into a pocket just 20 miles wide, the ocean at their backs. German forces closing in from 3 sides. There was no escape. The British Expeditionary Force, the core of Britain's army, was about to be annihilated. If these troops were captured or killed, Britain would have no army left to defend the homeland. Churchill himself would later say, "The whole root and core and brain of the British army was trapped at Dunkirk." Hitler knew this. His generals knew this. Victory was within reach. May 24th, 1940, morning. General Heinz Guderian, commander of the 19th Panzer Corps, was pushing hard. His tanks were within 20 miles of Dunkirk, maybe less. The British were in full retreat, exhausted, low on ammunition. Guderian's forces could have reached Dunkirk that same day. They could have sealed the pocket, trapped the entire Allied army. But at 11:42 a.m., an order came down from the highest level. Halt! The halt order. All Panzer divisions were ordered to stop their advance, immediately. Guderian couldn't believe it. He argued with his superiors. His tanks were moving. The enemy was broken. Why stop now? But the order stood. For the next 24 to 48 hours, German armor would remain stationary, while the British scrambled to escape. So why did Hitler give this order? There were several reasons, and they all seemed logical at the time. First, Hitler's top generals, particularly Gerd von Rundstedt, were worried about the terrain. The area around Dunkirk was marshy, crisscrossed with canals. Poor tank country. They feared their panzers could bog down or be ambushed. Second, the tanks had been moving non-stop for 2 weeks. Mechanical failures were mounting. Fuel supplies were stretched thin. The generals wanted time to regroup and resupply. Third, Hermann Göring, head of the Luftwaffe, promised Hitler that his air force could finish the job. "Leave it to me," Göring said. "The Luftwaffe will destroy them from the air." Hitler, who had great faith in air power, agreed. And finally, there's a darker theory. Some historians believe Hitler wanted to spare the British a humiliating defeat. He hoped that by allowing them to escape, Britain might be more willing to negotiate peace. Whatever the true reason, Hitler made the call. The tanks stopped, and the British got their miracle. The moment the Germans halted, the British knew they had a window. Winston Churchill, now Prime Minister, ordered Operation Dynamo. The goal: evacuate as many men as possible from Dunkirk before the Germans closed the trap. But there was a massive problem. Dunkirk's harbor was too shallow for large warships to dock. The beaches were wide and exposed. Traditional naval evacuation would take weeks. They didn't have weeks. They had days, maybe hours. So the British did something unprecedented. They called on civilian boats, fishing trawlers, pleasure yachts, tugboats, lifeboats, ferry boats, anything that could float and cross the English Channel. Over 800 civilian vessels answered the call. Many were piloted by their owners, ordinary British citizens sailing into a war zone to rescue their soldiers. These small boats could get close to shore. They ferried men from the beaches to the larger ships waiting offshore. It was chaotic, desperate, but it worked. Meanwhile, the Luftwaffe launched relentless bombing raids. Goering's promised to destroy the Allied forces from the air. But the weather didn't cooperate. Clouds and fog grounded many German planes, and the Royal Air Force fought back harder than expected. Spitfires and Hurricanes engaged in fierce dogfights over the beaches. For 9 days, Operation Dynamo continued. June 4th, 1940. The last British soldier left Dunkirk. 338,226 men had been evacuated. It was a miracle. Churchill himself called it a miracle of deliverance. But he also warned, wars are not won by evacuations. The British had escaped, but France was about to fall. Hitler had let the British army slip through his fingers. At the time, it didn't seem to matter. France surrendered 3 weeks later. Germany controlled Western Europe. But those 338,000 men, they survived. They went home, regrouped, rearmed. 4 years later, June 6, 1944, D-Day. Many of the soldiers who escaped Dunkirk returned to France. This time as liberators, they stormed the beaches of Normandy, fought their way inland, and began the campaign that would end with Berlin in ruins and Hitler dead. If Hitler had captured or destroyed the British army at Dunkirk, there would have been no D-Day. Britain might have been forced to surrender, or at the very least, negotiate a peace. The war in Europe could have ended very differently. Hitler's 24-hour halt, his moment of hesitation, cost him the war. One decision, 24 hours, changed everything. If you want to learn more about the battles that shaped World War II, subscribe to Front Archives. We break down the tactics, the mistakes, and the moments that changed history.